Hey friends, good morning. We are here for the daily drop-in with the Teach Better team, and I am with maybe my favorite guest, which I know is a big statement. Don't be mad at it for me, guys. Lindsay Titus is here. We have so much we're going to be talking about, so get ready. Share in the comments how you're doing this morning. Say hello to the Teach Better family, and we'll be right back. Morning, everyone. My name is Ray Hughart. I'm joined by the incredible Lindsay Titus. Lindsay, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Ray?
I'm so good. And I don't know if you saw my embarrassing Instagram story this morning about you, but I am like a little nervous to be live with you, just so you know. And it's because every time, Lindsay, every stinking time, whether you join a live session, like when the daily drop-in started, like back in like March, or if you're joining like when we did our back to school, literally anytime you're on camera with me, I have people texting me in the background being like, Ray, fix your face. Because the whole time I'm just like, whoa, wow, oh, cool. And like I forget that I'm like supposed to be facilitating a conversation because it's on my mind. And so I'm like, okay, Ray, you got this together. You're a professional. You've practiced for this.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I mean, it like blows my mind that we just connected in like March, April. Like I feel like, again, like when I saw these drop-ins were coming back, I felt like a part of me was like coming back because I was like, oh my gosh, like that is where it was just so amazing. Like to literally go from not really feeling like I had anybody that truly understood my brain, because let's be real, my brain is a little crazy sometimes, to then have people that were like, not only do we understand it, but we want you to share it more. Like it has just been amazing.
Oh, yeah. This is how Jody's sometimes the one who texts me. She's like, Ray, this is not a drill. Get it together.
I got to do a shout out to Liv, though. It is 5:30 where she is. And Liv, you're amazing.
She's amazing. And she's amazing for so many reasons, one of which is that she's awake right now. I totally agree. I am so thrilled that these daily drop-ins are back. Lindsay, we wanted to have you on to these daily drop-ins as quickly as possible because we know that our family just adores you and loves the work that you do. And we always feel so good when you're here. So I want to get into like who you are and all that jazz. And then I can only imagine the fun that we're going to be having. Really quick though, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, or maybe you're new to the Teach Better family, our daily drop-ins is something that we started purely for the concept of giving as much support as possible. So we are here to take live questions. These end up being bonus episodes on Teach Better Talk podcast. If you're listening to this live or as a recording, we are real people. This is just a family of educators, and we are truly just here to spread some positivity, answer some questions, give away some freebies, celebrate educators, and get you set for your day. So the comments are flowing in. I love when people participate live because we can see so many people commenting from Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and everything else. So it's so fun to see not only people participating, like obviously in the video, like you and I will be in a minute, Lindsay, but also just the celebration happening in the chat. There's a lot of funny comments going on about Livia. And I do like that Jeff already commented freebies. Yeah, why not? We give away freebies all the time. We've got some good things going on with the team that I think we should discuss. But all right, Lindsay, before we get to all of the goodness, because I know we only have you for a half an hour today. So we are going to push all the Lindsay goodness into the first 30 minutes of our daily drop-in. Will you tell us a little bit, if people aren't connected to you, a little about yourself, where your passions are, and all the things?
Absolutely. So I like to say by day, I'm a K-12 behavior specialist. So I work for a local district, and I work kindergarten through seniors, all things behavior. And so the cool part of that is that's everything, because if you think about it, behavior it impacts academics, it impacts social emotional, it's impacted by things like trauma. And so the cool thing is I get to do it all. The tough part is you're doing it all. But one of the things that I really learned about behavior is that I was noticing, and this was my own life story too, is that so much behavior, so much of our mindset around behavior was always reactive. So we're always reacting to situations. We're reacting to this, we're reacting to that. And I realized going through my own burnout that there's got to be a different way. There's got to be an easier way. And I figured out that easier way. And it's literally putting yourself first. It's changing your own behavior, your own mindset. And so when I did that, everything became, I don't want to say easy because I still have challenging moments, but it became doable. I was able to be an educator, be the educator I knew I could be, and the wife, and a mom, and a person. And it's like my life just exploded in the most positive way. And now I teach those practices through Define University to really help people understand behavior inside and outside of the classroom.
Well, and I love watching the work that you do because you and I are similar in the sense that we're still in the trenches working with students, but then also have this opportunity to coach and support educators. And I think that there's just like this beautiful dance between being a learner actively with students, but then also just trying to share and pour as much as possible into others to hopefully help everybody just be a little bit better every single day, right? That's the goal. That's the teach better mindset. Y'all have heard me say it before, but like, if you can be a little bit better today than you were yesterday and a little bit better tomorrow than you were today, then we're on the up and up, people. We're making it happen. So I've loved hearing your insight on this topic, Lindsay, because I think that every single time you're able to share with our community or share with your own community, because we joke about your Instagram stories are like how every single person I know starts their morning. I think that this allows us to have the right mindset to just be on that progressive movement towards better, which is exciting. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And and honestly, that's what my morning message was today. And it was the same kind of concept, but related to self-care, right? So we have this break week, for a lot of us, I'm still working today, but then I have, the Thanksgiving break. And I hear so many people like, I'm waiting for break so that I can relax. Okay, 3 more weeks and I'm waiting so I can relax. And I'm like, what if we take our self-care and instead of looking at it reactively, we look at it proactively? Because reactive means something challenging had to have happened first. And nobody wants that. Nobody wakes up like, I hope something challenging happens today, or I hope something difficult happens today. So what if instead of, waiting and having self-care be something that happens after something challenging, what if we do self-care to really help us be able to approach those challenges in a much more, a simple and easier way? And so that's what my morning message was about today, because if we keep waiting, we're going to wait. But if we are ready for it and can look proactively, well, then we're ready. We're ready for whatever comes our way.
And it's funny because, Lindsay, I know that we were having a private conversation before we came live, and it was around this same concept. Like, like you and I were literally just talking about this in my mind, seemingly like in a private conversation before we ended up going live and, chatting with our community on Twitter and YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. But that intentionality with being proactive is not easy. And I will admit, very much not easy for me. And so do you have tips or tricks if someone's listening and saying, yes, Lindsay, all of us feel like we're going like this every time you talk, like, yes, you are right, but that's like not easy to do, especially when you're filling your day with things that are good. So how do you then take some of that away for that self-care element so you don't burn out? Because burnout is what we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the most important thing that I do is I live by, so instead of having rules, I have standards. I have standards that I live by that align with values that I hold. So early on in my journey, I really had to ask myself, what's the most important thing out of life? What is it that I want? What is it that I see myself doing? And so I created these standards. And one of my standards is I serve myself before I serve others. And that looks like my morning routine. So that is me waking up a little bit early, and I do things for me. I have a personalized routine that I do for me. And I think that's the most important part is I often hear from educators, well, I tried a morning routine, but it didn't work. And I said, okay, tell me about it. What did you do? Well, I looked online and I found, and I said, right there, that's the issue, right? The internet is great for so many things, but it's not going to tell you what's going to work for you. And so it's really about creating a routine that works for you. That might be 5 minutes sitting, holding your coffee, just smelling it. That might be your morning routine because that's what you need to center so that you can then go serve others. There's no, I think often we fall into these time frames. Well, I have to do it for this amount of time for it to be effective. No, that's just a story. That's just something we make up. So I think having those standards, and then my favorite thing to do, and I've already done it for December, is go to your calendar right now, pick 2 days that don't have anything on it or have limited things on it, mostly weekend days for those of us that work Monday through Friday, put a big heart on it, and now that day is for you. You've scheduled it for you. You get to decide what it looks like. But for me, I always struggled when someone would call me and say, hey, you busy Saturday? You want to do this? And I have a hard time saying no. So I'd look at the calendar, there's nothing on it. Sure. I didn't really want to do, I just wanted a day at home, right? I just wanted a day to do what I wanted to do. Well, now that symbol tells me I can say yes, but I also could say no because you know what? I already have something planned that day. Could we look at another day? So it gave me that, it's almost like hurdle help for yourself, right? So often we help students get started. We kind of give them that support, and this is support for you to make sure we can really do that self-care through a proactive lens.
You know, Lindsay, that is something that I always value, is that you make things sound really bite-sized and simple. It's not this big proclamation of like, all right, I want all of you to audit your calendar the entire year of 2020. You have to go hour by hour and you need to determine, was it good or was it bad? And then we're going to plan for 2021. It's like, oh my God, I need 15 hours to get the calendar. I'm going to print everything in color. Like it's like too big. You're saying, look at your month, and your month is like starting here in a little bit. So a lot of us have already been thinking like, what's the holiday plans? What are the things? And you're saying, just pick 2 days, and it can be a weekend or it doesn't need to be a weekend. We have a break coming up. So there's even more opportunities to add that heart on that day. And I totally resonate with this mentality of someone saying, hey, are you free? And even though you are, you're not sure that you want to use your time that way. And I love the just symbolic reminder of you have a choice. And the beautiful part is you can choose to say yes or choose to say no. And actually you've not done anything negative. Like that's an opportunity here. I love that ability to make things just simple so that they're manageable as you move forward.
Yeah, my big thing with strategies is, I mean, they're endless. There are millions of strategies out there. Yeah. But for me, the most effective strategies to change behavior, and again, this is our behavior or behavior, you know, because again, we're not really changing anyone else's behavior, but if I'm helping a student try to change their own behavior, and you've probably heard me say it before, I say small, simple, and strategic. So small means I can do it in less than 5 minutes, right? We can all go to our calendars, put a heart, that's going to take 30 seconds. Yep. Simple means I don't need anything else. I don't need any other material. I don't need to go to the store and buy something because that's going to take more time. And strategic means it aligns to you. So the reason, why are you doing it? You know, it has to be strategic to align to you and your values, or the student, right? Is the strategy you're using, does it align to the goal that the student has? And if it does, if it fits those things, you're going to be able to do it now, which means you're going to be able to see those results, which means you're going to keep your momentum moving forward.
So, Lindsay, I assume that you use these strategies because I see you modeling them over and over and over and over, which makes them look like things that are achievable, which is, again, something I really, really appreciate about the suggestions you have. You never seem to ask somebody to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. Mm-hmm. Would you mind, I'm sure it's personal, so if you don't want to, that's all right, but would you mind sharing with us, like, what does your morning routine look like? Because you're saying, hey, find something in your morning routine that works for you. And I think a lot of people go to the internet because they're like, I need ideas, right? Mm-hmm. Like, give me ideas. And your simplistic approach of holding your coffee and smelling it for a few minutes, like that almost, it's like, wow, it can be that simple. How nice. So how simple have you made yours? Maybe what's the first step in finding what should be in my morning routine?
Yeah. So my morning routine started about 3 years ago. And it started with 3 minutes of gratitude. And so all I did is, and I honestly don't remember what time the alarm was, but if the alarm was set for 6, I started setting it for 5:57.
Okay.
And I would just lay in bed and I would just speak gratitude. And I would come up with like some of, because like after a minute, if you actually do 3 minutes of gratitude, you're grateful for some of the most ridiculous things. And like, let's just be, I was like, I'm grateful for that mug I saw at the mall yesterday. Like you just, because you're like just spinning your wheels.
Right.
But so that grew into, you know, and again, it always, to me, it comes down to gratitude and growth. So for me, that is what my morning routine anchors in. And I figured that out by doing some of the pre-work of like kind of figuring out what did I want my day to be. So one of my suggestions is when you're thinking about what is it that you want in your routine, you got to think about what's the result you're looking to get. So if you are looking to get energized by doing your routine, maybe bring in some things that energize. So maybe your morning routine might be having a cold drink of water, doing a high intensity workout, putting on some crazy music and jamming out, right? Like those things. Whereas if you're thinking, I'm going to shift to like an evening routine, most people don't want to energize in their evening routine. They want to relax. So that might look like meditating. That might look like journaling. That might look like, just listening some calm music. So for me, my morning routine, I wanted to fill my morning with gratitude and growth. So currently, and it has shifted over the 3 years, I don't use the same one because again, my values change, my goals change. Right. But right now I'm in a season of life where that's what I need. I need to anchor into gratitude and I'm learning to grow. I'm working to grow. So for me, it's always gratitude. Right now I'm speaking it. I speak, I'm getting my coffee. I'm just constantly saying all those things that I'm grateful for. And then I have been doing 3 goals that I have for myself. And I do my goals in I am statements. So they've already happened. And I write those, and those mostly have to do with, so one is about my work, one is about my business, and one is about my life. And so I write those. And then for me, the growth comes in. So I dive into either a personal development, professional development book, or podcast. So for me, my morning routine just look very work oriented, but that's what fills me right now. And I also then, do that with my gratitude. I also have a gratitude notebook at work. So I almost do like a mini routine when I get to my office. I do more gratitude there. But I'm not going to lie, some days there are, and actually this happened yesterday. I woke up and I was like, nope, this isn't what I need. I put on what I needed was to calm down. I woke up feeling a little anxious and I put on a meditation and I meditated for 20 minutes. And that was my morning routine. So the cool part when you have a standard, my standard is I serve myself before I serve others. The routine is just the how. So my why doesn't change, but the how and the what it looks like, that gets to change based on what I'm looking for that day, what I need. In order to know that, you've got to be in tune within here. And it's why I constantly do this. It's why I always talk with my hands, because to me, it's so important to be able to become aware. Once we're aware of where we are and we accept where we are, we can acknowledge where we want to go and then we take action. So for me, that's how you create that morning routine, but you've got to know what you're trying to gain.
I feel like there's so many pieces of that I want to dig into. I think the biggest aha moment for me, as you were sharing right now, is the concept of deciding the type of energy that you want in the routine before you decide the what a part of your routine. I don't think I have never thought about that before. And I think it's fascinating because a lot of us going to the internet to find the right solution for our morning routine is, I should do this in the morning because an author that I really love does this in the morning and that's what they did to be successful. And then I'm going to do this in the evening because, Lindsay Titus does it. And so like, that's a really good reason. And so there's a lot of like, kind of, you're almost creating like a checklist. Like I'm going to do this because I was told, and I was doing this, I'm told. And then when I put them together, I'm going to be successful. And starting first with, what kind of like energy do I want to accomplish? What kind of feeling do I want to accomplish? Then you just only get to put in the things that make sense. This is one of those moments where I have nothing insightful to say besides, wow, yep, that makes sense.
Well, and exactly what you were just describing, right? I'm going to do that because that person says to do it. I'm going to do that because that person. If you do that over time, you're in shouldville. Because ultimately what that is another way of saying, well, I should do this because they said this, and I should do that. And anytime we're there, we're doing it because someone else told us. And what happens is, and I think this is why habits oftentimes get such a bad rap, because people are like, well, it didn't work. I'm like, well, of course it didn't work. You were doing somebody else's habit. You were living somebody else's life. So this is why it's so important. You know, we consume knowledge all day long. We consume information. You're consuming information right now by listening to this drop-in, right? But the piece that we often miss then is you have to create your own meaning from what you consume. So consume it, but then ask yourself, how does this apply to me? And maybe it doesn't, which is the cool part. You could absolutely listen to something and say, that's really great content, just doesn't apply to me right now. And that's okay. You know, I think so often people will hear things from somebody and be like, oh, but I really like them. So I've got to do it. And I'm like, but do you? You know, and I'm trying to work on, you know, that questioning aspect of, but do you? You can still hear something from someone and not feel the need or have this desire that you absolutely have to then go make it fit for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's this balance or this blend almost of this consuming, but then creating it to make meaning for you.
All right, guys, I want documentation that we started this at 8:30 Eastern in the morning, and it only took till 8:50 for the Shouldville to come in because, you know, like I was like, I'm going to bring up Shouldville. It's one of my favorite things that Lindsay talks about. And I'm like, no. Lindsay has great insight. I'm not going to derail her to bring up my favorite thing. And then you just you do it like a mic drop, like it comes in from and you don't even see it coming. And so I'm such a fan of all of these concepts, but this concept of Shouldville is so relevant every single time I try and find routines and self-care and doing things for myself and finding ways to fill up our cups. Shouldville always makes an appearance. I love this idea. If somebody wasn't familiar with Shouldville, and truly I think that it needs to be like all over, like I think everyone should walk around with like Shouldville shirts and hats and signs and everything in between. But I know we only have you here for a few more minutes. Can you give us some insight? Like, what's the biggest takeaway with Shouldville? I know you probably just touched on it, but tell me a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shouldville is what, through this journey that I've been on, I realized, I kept coming back to this word should. And, whether it was I was talking to my coach, whether it was I was talking to my husband, like who didn't matter who I was talking about, but I got really good at listening to the words I was speaking. And I noticed that I kept saying this word should, right? Like,
can we just, I'm so sorry. Jody says, Ray, I almost had to tell you to fix your face. This is the problem, Lindsay. You just talked and I'm like so enthralled. It's like watching like a movie that you like can't look away from the screen. And all right, keep it up. You're doing fabulous. Sorry to interrupt. Thanks, Jody.
Okay.
What's up, Jody?
Right. Yeah. So I just kept saying the word should. And every time my coach was like, says who? And I never had an answer, right? Like I was like, whoa, and I want, and I was doing all this stuff. And finally, it just came to me one day. I was like, I'm done living in Shouldville. And I like claimed it. Because I was like, I'm never going to create. And I think that's an important distinction. We live our lives, but we also get to create our lives. And I decided, knowing that the beliefs I was holding, these limiting beliefs, that then led to these thoughts I was having of I should do this and I should do that. And then it was that related to my feelings. I was like, I am never going to get out of this hamster wheel of life that I don't like, that I hate most days if I stay put in Shouldville. So it became my catchphrase. It became my place. And I think the important thing, and people that are in my courses and my groups know this, I visit Shouldville quite often. So even though I've moved out, even though I'm out, I visit pretty frequently. But the cool part is I know when I'm there now, and I listen to the language. And so it ultimately is a place where you go, and what you're doing is you're doing it for somebody else. You're not doing it because it's something you desire or you want. It's a place where, you're doing it because you think you should instead of because you choose to. So if it is something, because I get people that are like, well, what if I do enjoy it? I'm like, then don't say should. then you get to, you choose to, or you love to. But if you're in shouldville, you're saying things like, I have to do this. I need to, I should, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't really have to do anything. We get to do a lot of things. We choose to do a lot of things, and we love to do a lot of things. And the more things you do in your day that you truly love, we are creating a life that you can't not love, right?
Yeah. Incredible. Lindsay, I know that you need to head to your next morning meeting and do incredible things with your students today and, Thanksgiving week. I'm sure that you have a lot of things planned for yourself, not only for self-care, but also celebrating with family, everything in between. Would you mind sharing? I always want our network to continue connecting with these incredible people in the Teach Better family. And Lindsay, you are absolutely one of them. Would you mind sharing how people can stay connected to you outside of this daily drop-in? And by the way, if people are listening to this and they love it, Lindsay has done so many different discussions with the team that if you head over to the Teach Better Team YouTube channel, you're going to see Lindsay's face all over. So go enjoy more goodness from her. But Lindsay, you also have a lot of ways for people to continue to connect with you. So will you share some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So most social media platforms you can find me. Now my name changes a little bit on each one because I like to be difficult like that. But here on Facebook, it's just Lindsay Titus. What is on the screen right now is my Twitter handle, so ltitus828. And then over on Instagram, it's lindsay.titus828. And then my website, which is www.defineuniversity, university.com, is where you can find information about all the things I do, podcasts, courses, all of those kinds of pieces with coaching, but pretty active on the 3 social media sites. So do not hesitate to reach out to me. That's the coolest thing of social media, is that my community, my network has continued to grow and expand, which is one of my favorite words. Constantly looking to expand. And Ray, I got like 2 minutes. I got one other quick idea for people. Is that cool?
The stage is yours, girl. Stage is yours.
So this is something I shared with, so I'm running a current course right now, something I shared with them, and it's been something I've been reminding myself. So many of us are heading into a break, if you're not already there, but we're heading into some days off. It can be so easy as educators to fall in this all or never trap. I'm not going to think about work for the whole week. Yes, you will. You're an educator. Like you will think about work, and that's okay. But what I want to share, one of the easiest things that I do is I keep a work brain dump list going. So I make a specific sheet that I have, and I literally put Thanksgiving break work dump list. work dump list. And so brain dump list. And I will then, as thoughts come to me, because let's face it, sometimes they're good thoughts. Sometimes I'm like, that would be a great idea. I put it there. Get it out of your head, put it on paper, and then go back to your present moment. But if we try and tell ourselves, I'm never going to think about work, it's like if I say, don't think about a pink elephant right now, you all just thought about a pink elephant. So embrace and give yourself grace that you will think about work because you love it. You love what you do. You're an educator. So, but have a system, have a place where those amazing thoughts can go so that you can get back to being present with your family and loved ones.
Such a good strategy. Lindsay, you're always full of such manageable things that we can put into place to just better ourselves. I so appreciate you. I'm a mega fan. I'm sorry that I'm not good at facilitating conversation with you, because all I feel like I should do is be taking notes. Thank goodness these are recorded. So Lindsay, thank you for all that you do. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And for everyone else, I will continue live taking some questions, giving some tidbits to continue your week, adding on to the conversation that Lindsay has already started with this wonderful, wonderful daily drop-in. So please go connect with Lindsay. We'll be back here in just a second. Guys, she's just so good. I never know. What do you do with Lindsay Titus? She's just so good. And I feel like every single time I talk to her, it is encouraging me to be better in some way. And I think there's so much beauty in surrounding yourself by people who are not challenging you in a way that is causing you to be negative or to feel like you haven't accomplished something, but to constantly be pushing you in appropriate, celebratory, positive ways to enhance yourself. I think that it's so incredible how important it is for us to choose to be surrounded by the right people. There's this common phrase, right? Common phrase of like, you are the top 5 people you surround yourself with. And I think that it is more true than ever that as educators, we have to surround ourselves with the right people so we can keep the mindset when time gets hard. We can keep the mindset to persevere with students, but we can also keep the mindset of giving ourselves grace, improving ourselves, and just trying to pour into others, because when we give to others, we also can benefit ourselves. And so I love when Lindsay comes live with us. So much that we could discuss and talk through. I wanted to continue our daily drop-in today, even though I know Lindsay could only join us for half an hour, because these daily drop-ins exist for a very, very, very important and simple reason. We just want to be accessible for all of you, because as things change, we want to be your brainstorming buddy. We want to be your sounding board. We want to answer questions with you. We want to be a part of your journey. And purely for any other reason, we want to set your day up for success. So whether it was listening to Lindsay this morning or getting an answer of something that you're still chewing on as the week continues, like, that is why we're here. And so I know you guys have heard this story before. Feel free to throw your questions, your comments, if there's anything that you want us to discuss for the next few minutes here. But please throw them in the comments, whether you're listening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, or even if you're listening as a bonus episode of the Teach Better Talk podcast. We really are here to answer your questions and be a support, so let us know. I know that you've heard the story, but when we were sitting in a Chicago conference room, it was Jeff, Chad, and I. We had canceled our entire team get together. It was going to be the first time the entire Teach Better team was together, because there's like 19 of us, and the majority of us have never met on the Teach Better team. Some of us have, like in small settings, but we were like bringing the whole team into one location. We were going to do a photo shoot. We were going to do like fun team building activities, and we canceled because that was the weekend that COVID really, really hit the US strong. And so Jeff and Chad were already on the road. We decided to still meet the 3 of us right as literally everything seemed to be shutting down. And we had a beautiful Saturday meeting where we really looked at what the Teach Better team was doing. And then we met Sunday morning after truly watching the world change over 24 hours. And we said, all that is great, but how do we provide value to our network by only providing support? So we took everything that we had been working on for like 24 hours with actually wonderful, wonderful people that dedicated their time to support us in that way. And we said, nope, we're canceling it all, and we are only putting in support for our network. And the daily drop-ins grew from that. We wanted to be live as often as possible because things are changing frequently. And we wanted to make sure that you, our network, our Teach Better family, had somewhere to go that provided consistency, that provided positive energy, that provided solution-minded thinking, and that just allowed us to remember our why of being educators in this incredible field. And so as we continue to bring these back, and we really, really love being live and celebrating your mornings with you, we also want to make sure this is as effective as possible, because whether you're here for positivity, whether you're here for self-care, like Lindsay just gave us so much to think through, or anything in between, we really are here to serve you. And so please make sure that if there's anything on your mind that you want to discuss, any questions you have about the Teach Better team or anything in the realm of education, we'd love to be here to brainstorm with you. So first and foremost, for those of you who don't know me, I know that Lindsay introduced herself wonderfully before. And if you are just tuning in now, head back to the beginning of this episode once it's finished recording, because Lindsay had so many mic drops. I love her work. My name is Hughart. I'm currently the Director of Training and Development for the Teach Better team, and I'm a full-time 6th grade mean old math teacher. Today, after our daily drop-in this morning, I get to kind of exit out of this tab and open up the next one. We're currently teaching remotely, and so I'll log into my Google Classroom and start our link for the morning, and we'll start by jamming out to Disney tunes, because my first hour is obsessed with playing Spotify and then guessing the songs. We have like a 15-minute period of time where students are getting ready for their day for first hour. And so from 8:45 Central to 9 o'clock Central, we just like play music and guess in the chat all the titles. So I'll be doing that here in a little bit. And then I get to have a wonderful day, last day of the week for our students before they go on Thanksgiving break. And so I have a mix of students I'll be conferencing with. We're working on fractions in one of my classes. And then we also have a test today in one of my other classes. So they are taking an assessment on writing expressions, which was a really fun internship that my student teacher worked on that gets to conclude today. So lots going on this morning, but very excited to see my kiddos here in just a little bit. Similar to Lindsay, I think a lot of us actually in the Teach Better family have this role where we get to work with students, but also get to collaborate with colleagues and teachers and everything in between. So it's such a wonderful idea to kind of come together and then see students and then come together again as educators and say, how'd that go? What strategies are you using? Let's share ideas, because so many of the things I'm doing is because I'm stealing it from other educators that I admire that are sharing their tools and resources. And I think the more that we can share, the more effective we're going to be as educators and the more successful our students are going to be. So I always love to not only answer questions, but ask all of you questions to get myself the support that I need in my classroom. Jody threw in a topic here, sort of off topic. I 100% just turned on what you do with Lindsay, singing the tune, how do you solve a problem? I love this Sound of Music. So good. Jody, I feel like there's so many songs that I listen to that I'm like, ooh, this makes me think of this person. Jeff Kaplan, it's good to see you. I know there's been so many of you commenting this entire daily drop-in, and we haven't really gotten to shout out and celebrate that you're here. But it's so good to see those of you that are popping in and commenting and really participating in the morning. I know some of us can't participate. Maybe we're listening to this in the car or we're just getting to school and it's just on in the background. But however you need this daily drop-in, that's how you should do it. Jody says, I'm so stealing the name, that tune idea from the morning. Jody, it honestly came from, like, I love to jam out to music. Jody and I used to work together, but for me, it's consistently my entire career, like whether it's a 3-minute passing period or a remote and we're just starting on a Google Meet link, like music is always a part of my life. I not intentionally, but coincidentally share a wall in my classroom with one of my good friends. And I am so thankful that he's on the other side of the wall because I blast my music, and because we're friends, he like can't hate me for it. And literally I turn up my music as loud as possible during that 3-minute passing period because it just boosts your energy. Like it's like a refresh, right? It's like getting your second and third and fifth wind of the day. And so I feel like that type of mentality is still so important for even if we're learning remotely. And so I started by playing music, and some, easy music. You turn on like Disney classics or Disney tunes. And then the students in the comments started guessing. So then it became this competition of like, do you know them all? So it's a mix of like playlists that people have or me searching on Spotify, but I always love to blast music. And so it's turned into a really fun game. And it works really well for first hour because we have that like 15 minutes where students are like slowly coming on. Some students don't join the Google Meet till 9. But some, join early. So it's just a really fun way to engage students. For my other classes with the transition, we don't do it as frequently just because, there's like a 3-minute gap. And as people get logged on, it's tricky, but it's always good to play music regardless because it really sets the tone for the classroom. I don't know what you guys are choosing to do as you start your classes off every single morning. But for me, it's like very, very simple and classic. The students absolutely know what to expect. I'm playing music as they come in. I'm sharing my screen with what their physical space should be set up like. So it has like a computer with the tab that I want them to have open. It has any like pencils or resources I want them to have out. And then as they get that set up, the last to do on the screen is just to relax and jam out to music and make sure that you're in the right headspace. So it's a really easy way to start class. It's extremely predictable. My students actually joke, they're like, Miss Hughart, we don't even need this anymore because we know it's the same thing every single day. But for me, it's a beautiful reminder. I like the visual representation of making sure that your desk is perfect. For the students who really need that visual reminder, I always challenge them to make it as like perfectly aligned as possible. Sometimes like the pencil is just a little off and I want them to do the same thing on their desk. So it's really just the reminder that we're in a learning space, and I really enjoyed it. And then I usually take that slide down as class starts. I pause my music, and then we get into some sort of mini lesson, or when I say mini lesson, I mean like teacher time. So during our teacher time, we are answering common questions or setting the tone for the day. It's essentially 6 to 8 minutes of anything that I feel like we need to do as the teacher. I can go over a problem or just sit and joke around or do a poll, right? Super simple. And then students work, and I get to conference with students all day. I have my page here that's right next to me where I'm like documenting the students that I need to meet with. And it's just a wonderful way to like double check I'm having enough conversations with everyone as we move forward, because I truly believe that the best way we can confirm our students' understanding is by talking to them. And so the opportunity that we've created in our classroom is to make conversation a focal point of not only checking for understanding, but confirming understanding with each other and questioning. And so I always like to document who's participating in those to make sure that I follow up with a few kiddos that maybe didn't choose to participate as much, just to confirm their why in how they're doing with the content. So it's always really fun. There's been so many comments so far. I love seeing these. Looks like, yeah, Jeff Kaplan loves playing the string quartet. That's a great one. I love playing like any instrumental song, absolutely has a space. Good morning to everyone commenting. Oh man, Hans. Hey Hans, good morning. Hans is confirming that incorporating music for students is a good thing. I'm so glad, Hans. You know, I love when you like affirm some of the choices are made, because you are so focused on making students feel welcome all the time and being intentional. So look, Hans, that's how I'm intentional. I use music as a part of that intentionality. Looks like there are so many different resources we're sharing here, like Pear Deck and Google Classroom, Khan Academy, Desmos. These are all incredible resources. Jody says a virtual homeroom is technically from 9:50 to 9:58 check-in, which is like 8 minutes. But I opened the link. But I open the link at 9:30, and most come early to hang out. Yeah, so you're like opening it 20 minutes early, but they're choosing to come because they want that fun interaction, good relationship building. We do a daily trivia Google form and a jigsaw puzzle party almost every day. I love that idea, Jody. I think anytime you can do those fun interactive elements in your classroom, even if you're remote or in person, finding those ways to still use those solutions is really good. I don't know if you guys remember, Jody, I know you know, but in May, which seems like forever ago, in May, we did a webinar series, a free webinar series, and Kevin Butler was one of the presenters in it. And his session was on some engagement elements. And when I say some, I mean oodles, a lot of engagement strategies he uses in his classroom and how he shifted them to be fully digital. Now, it was really interesting because as Kevin was doing this presentation, he, just like all of us, was about like 2 months into shifting our entire classrooms into a virtual setting. And so he shared so many tips and tricks that were easy and manageable. So if you actually are somebody looking for ways to engage your students, whether it, some virtual activity or music or whatever, Kevin Butler had so many suggestions in that webinar. You can actually get that webinar for free because it's just like one of the sessions in that series over in Teach Better Academy. I don't know if you guys have been there, but the Teach Better team houses a number of different free and full courses in Teach Better Academy. We actually have a new one coming out in a few weeks, but I don't think I was supposed to tell you that. And Kevin Butler's session specifically is one I would go check out. So that was a webinar series that we did in May. I think he was like the 4th week of that webinar series. I think there were 6 weeks total. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go check. But if you're looking for some, easy tools, that would absolutely be something that I would encourage you all to go check out. Jeff Kaplan says, I recently got some extra engagement virtual students with my fire hair hat. Yeah, Jeff, I saw that picture on what was it, Facebook? I saw that. It was super funny. I loved that. Han says, consistency and routines positively support all students, but especially our kiddos. Absolutely. I love it. All right, guys, we have been live for 44 minutes for this daily drop-in. I really, really hope that even if you're just popping in now, you choose to listen to the incredible Lindsay Titus, who's a part of our daily drop-in at the very, very beginning for the first half an hour. There was so much insight and so many different appropriate and manageable tips to continue to not only care for others, but truly, truly care for ourselves. And so I want to challenge you all to put some of those into place, because those are extremely, extremely important as we continue forward during this challenging year, challenging time, but we got this. Before we end today, I do want to give you a little bit of insight on some things going on with the Teach Better team. So if you're still here with us, these are just kind of some things that we've been talking about and we will be talking about all week long. We have our daily drop-ins that just started as of yesterday, and we are finishing up our second daily drop-in of this series. We'll be live every single morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, including Thanksgiving and Black Friday and everything in between, November 23rd through December 18th, celebrating all of you. There's guests joining us. There are incredible people that are going to be sharing their insight, and we hope you participate as well by asking questions and continue to be active in our pursuit of growth throughout our time with our daily drop-ins. Our daily drop-ins are available everywhere that you can find the Teach Better team, but especially on our YouTube channel, as well as bonus episodes of Teach Better Talk podcast. So you can find these all over in case you miss one. Don't stress. The last thing I do want to mention is that there is a Black Friday sale going on for the Teach Better team. If you're somebody looking for swag, there's a swag combo that you can grab, but there is also a 50% off code using the code I am better, no space, I am better. And you can get 50% off swag, as well as 50% off all of our courses in the Teach Better Academy, at least all the ones that have a price. There's a ton of free ones in there, but using the same code, I am better. So we're just trying to get you as much support as humanly possible. I hope you all have a beautiful, incredible day, whether you are home with your families or celebrating with students this afternoon. But I hope that you continue to challenge yourself, to give yourself grace, and surround yourself with the right people, because every single time I'm surrounded by many, many of you, Lindsay Titus, and so many members of the Teach Better team, I just have a consistent reminder that I can be better. And it's always great to have people who are positive and challenging me and always have my best interest in mind. It just totally sets the tone for the day. So I appreciate all of you. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out. That's why we're here.